Well, it sounds like a mortician or a mortuary, doesn't it? You'd have this soft playing music in the background. So, well, since the officers are here, we're certainly going to start. So we appreciate them being here, and we appreciate all of you in attendance this evening. So we're very grateful that you're here. We'll start our council meeting by having an invocation by Councilman Snelson, after which we'll have our Councilman Millsap lead us in the pledge. So,
Our Father in heaven, we're thankful for the opportunity we have to meet together as a group of residents of Springville. We're thankful for the freedoms that we have that allow us to do this. We're thankful for this good city and the residents that are here that are willing to participate. We're thankful for those that have served Springville in various ways and are here tonight to be recognized for their contributions. We're thankful for the opportunity to serve and ask for thy Spirit to be with us as we consider the legislation before us. We pray that we can have thy Spirit with us in all the decisions that we make, and we do it in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I invite you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I need, first of all, an approval on the minutes agenda, or the meeting's agenda, excuse me.
I motion that we approve the agenda as written with the exception of, sorry, is this where I would motion for the amendment? Okay. Well, still, I'll motion that we approve the agenda as written.
Okay, we have a motion on the table. I need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We'd like to recognize any students who are here or anybody who's here visiting. We're grateful for that. Usually we welcome them up even to sit on the stand with us so they can kind of see from this angle what it's like to be on the city council. So we just, and we have a lot of candy up here, so they usually come up here and get all sugared up. So we welcome you here, and we appreciate the citizens also being here. So. We have opportunity for public comment. We have some public that would like to make comment to the city council. If there's anybody here who would like to, who has not filled out a form, you're welcome to do that. There's some out in the foyer, or Kim, I don't know if you've got them with you, but they're out back, and we welcome you to give us any kind of comment that you'd like. We ask that you kind of limit your time to 3 or 4 minutes, and we cannot take any official action. But hopefully we've been able to give some direction when people have given us comments, so we're very grateful for it. So the ones that are here, we'd love to hear from you. George, we'd love to hear from you.
I have primarily an FYI for those of you who are new to the council, and also a reminder to you, those who are still on board. We are approaching 175-year milestones in the history of Springville. One of them will take place in 2024, which is the 175th anniversary that Springville City was incorporated. In my mind, that should be a major event citywide and celebrated appropriately. There are a few others that could be celebrated between now and then by smaller groups in a less formal basis. One of those takes place next month in February, which is the anniversary of Hobble Creek getting its name. I've prepared a document which I'll bring next week. I'm still working on a little bit, but next month, that is, not next week. And I'll distribute that to you so that you may decide whether you want to do something with Hobble Creek as a family or as just a citizens group. But that celebration could be done much less formally and in smaller groups. but it is a significant part of our history. We all enjoy our waterway, which is we've called Hollow Creek for the last 175 years. Thank you.
Thanks, George.
Thanks, George. Stacy, maybe we just make you aware of this upcoming here in 2024. So I don't know if you've got that on your docket for discussion. You do? Okay. George, looks like they're working on that. So we're very much aware of it. We look forward to your documents. So thank you very much. We appreciate it an awful lot. Okay, Mr. Clark King.
First of all, I'd like to express my condolences to Mindy. I had the honor of being in your parents' ward for about 50 years, and they're both great people, and your mother still is. To these fine gentlemen back here, my mother's very best friend growing up was Henry Waite's daughter. He was the police chief in Springville in the 1930s, and his daughter was my mother's best friend, and she taught me from the very young age to have respect for law enforcement. Now to the new councilman and woman, I have two things I'm very passionate about. Mike and Craig both know, and I think even Matt knows, I love CRC, Clyde Rec Center. I probably spend 3 hours a day down there, 1 hour swimming, and 2 hours BSing with people. I sit out in the foyer, and the people come in and that, and lifeguards going off and on duty, and people changing shifts there. I like to talk to them and let them know how special they are, and that place is. That is a real treasure. The other treasure I don't go to as much anymore, but in the 60s, I went to the art gallery almost every day. Our high school at the time was just to the east of the art gallery. We had our art classes in the art gallery, and I took art for 3 years. They even had a classroom upstairs in the art gallery, and I had 10th grade history in the Springville Art Gallery. So that place is special to me also. I learned my love of doodling and drawing from that place, and if none of you have my fire truck, I will be glad to get you a drawing of my fire truck, that the old 37 LaFrance that's retired. I did my best to try and draw that as close representation as I could get.
And you did a good job at it, too.
So that's basically what I want to say, is how much I honor and respect the people that work at those two locations. And two of the young ladies are right back there that are very special, and you probably all know who they are, you know, and their job. So to the new councilman and council lady, take a lot of pride in the art gallery and CRC. Thank you.
Thank you, Clark.
Thanks,
We
Clark.
appreciate it. And the two ladies in the back can probably out BS you. So just what Clark was talking about is Mindy's mother passed away a few days ago, and they had her funeral today. And I texted Mindy. I didn't know about it until this afternoon, and said, Mindy, you don't have to come tonight. And she says, no, I want to come tonight. That just speaks to not only her personality, but also her family. So we appreciate her and her dedication for being here. So, okay, Carrie Bennett up here for Healthy Utah Community Award designation. And don't be nervous.
I know a few faces over here, so it'll be helpful. Yes, I'm Carrie Bennett. I've lived in Springville for 18 years. And I'm also a member of the Hobble Creek Bicycle Association, and I served on the ad hoc committee for the active transportation plan for the last several years. I'm here tonight to encourage Springville City to apply for the Healthy Utah Community Grant, or it's not a grant, it's actually a designation. And because we are such a great city, and I think we should be recognized for all the wonderful things that we do here in this city. And this designation is sponsored by Get Healthy Utah and the Utah League of Cities and Towns, and is awarded to cities and towns that do exemplary work to improve community health. So we know Springville City is doing amazing work to promote and support active living with our many trails, bike paths, and recent adoption of this Springville City Active Transportation Plan. Springville City has also implemented programs that create access to healthy foods, such as our Monday nights farmers markets that accepts SNAP benefits, and the addition of the Kiwanis Club's food pantry in the old Grant School building. Our city is also passionate about focusing on mental health, and the city has implemented strategies to promote safe use and disposal of medications. You've beautified, enhanced, and created sections of the community that promote social gathering and connection, making Springville a wonderful place to live, work, and play. Having implemented these health strategies, it brings us one step closer to applying and getting recognized as a healthy community within Utah. One of the other steps, so one of the first steps is to submit a letter from the mayor and the city councils to apply for the award. The other one is to organize and create a community coalition. Hobble Creek Bicycle Association has discussed this in our meetings, and we would love to be that community coalition that works towards other things other than just biking, because biking is also for physical health, mental health, and everything. And so we want to be that community coalition for this city to help move things forward. One of the things about being part of that coalition is that you were supposed to have representation from city council members, which we already do. You're supposed to have representation from health department, which we already do. We have quite a few key members and community members that serve on that coalition, and so it's already kind of the perfect fit to help apply for this award and move the things forward. We've already completed step number 3, those things that I mentioned that you've already implemented qualify for those things. And then lastly, we need to meet to develop a community health plan. So we've talked about it at our meetings that we would love to meet in February to kind of look over the health data and then create 2 new strategies to move forward the next 3 years. All of that would help us to apply. The application's due on March 1st. And so I'm here today to get the city council's approval and maybe even some support from other city staff if they would like to participate in our meetings in February to create this plan. Other communities that have been recognized already include our neighbors to the north and south. Provo City has gotten it, Spanish Fork, Santa Quin City, and Vineyard, and also Linden. So those are the Utah County cities that have it. And I believe we qualify and we deserve to be recognized as a healthy community as well. So thank you for your time.
Very good, very good. Well, we do probably all those things, and so might as well get recognized for it. So what I'm going to do is, if it's okay with you, is I'm going to kind of turn this over, have Troy do it, so we can maybe decide, talk a little bit about it, but also see if it's comfortable to maybe have the PAR board committee kind of get involved in it. I mean, there's just a couple of different avenues that I think would be helpful.
Absolutely.
But it
The
sounds like
library
time
also.
is of the essence.
Yes.
So anyway, so we can't take any official action, but any comments or questions? Would you like to say anything? Yes, Mindy.
On the second, you said Get Healthy Utah mini grants. What kind of, can you give me examples of what those might be?
So Santa Quin just recently applied for one, and they're receiving $15,000 to work on some of the strategies that they had identified in their plans.
Okay.
And so, in another community, I think that Santa Quin was the only one in Utah County. They awarded 5 cities $15,000 to implement some of those things. And so, and they have a year, they had like 6 months to plan and like carry out whatever they said they wanted to implement, and then the rest of this year to implement it. Oh, sorry. See,
That was our
business.
COVID cover.
I talk with my hands.
That's
So,
great.
and, oh, also, Mayor, it does not have to be March 1st. They have 2 application cycles, so if the city needs time, we can push it back until the fall.
Okay,
So I will let Troy
All right.
know that.
sounds good. Well, I'll work with Troy and we'll talk a little bit about this, so, very good.
Thank
But
you for your
I think
time.
it's a great idea, personally, so. Any other comments? Logan, Mike?
No, I think it's great.
Yeah, I think it's just a little paperwork because we're doing. I would
Yeah,
say
we're doing just about everything anyway,
98.7% of everything that's
Yeah,
Let's get-
required.
let's just get the
Dovetails so
letter in.
well with all the other plans we already have in motion, so.
And the Bicycle Association is happy to write the plan and send it to you.
Okay, sounds good. All right, we appreciate that. Very good. Okay, that's our public comment. We have some ceremonial things for our agenda, and we'd first of all like to welcome Marley Cannon, who's here from the Utah Library Association. We're so grateful that she'd travel here to be here, and so we have a special award that we'd like to turn some time over to her to give. So, Marley.
Thank you for having me. I just wanted to clarify, I'm from the Utah State Library.
Oh.
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry,
That's
my error. I apologize.
no problem. Thank you. But actually, I'm here today to recognize the library staff here in Springville. We at the State Library hand out Quality Library Awards to various libraries across the state for transformative services in their community. And I'm happy to tell you that Springville Library has done just that. In their application, they talked about all kinds of ways that they're bringing your community together. And some of the things that really stood out to me were this history project that they've worked on with your community so that there can be history tours in your city. They talked about art. They talked about creating art, and they talked about celebrating art and bringing great numbers into these events that bring people together to celebrate art. And they talked about community and connection. They talked about a program where they bring new citizens to your city together so that they can meet each other and learn from each other, and they can ask questions. So what all this means is that your library is more than just a building with books. It's a place for lifelong learning. It's the community living room where there can be social connection face to face, which I would submit to you is incredibly valuable, especially in this day and age. It's just significant. All these qualities will continue to make your city, your beautiful city actually, a richer place to live. And I'm happy to recognize the creative, caring, and hardworking library staff in your city. So thank you so much for allowing me to say that.
Very good. Okay, Dan. And
I want to make sure we get a picture with my staff. I didn't want to be the only one here, so I encourage them to come be with me because they're the ones coming up with these great ideas. I just want to take a quick moment. Of course, not all of our staff can be here. They're holding down the fort back there. They're running programs as we speak. But just really appreciative of Marilee and the support that she and the rest of the team over at the Utah State Library Division offer the library. We get the ability to ask them questions, to get support, and even most of the grants that we get are through them. So recently, this past year, we added a quiet study pod, inserted that into the library, and that's been a hit immediately. So that's just one example of ways that the Utah State Library Division helps support us. And then I find it really valuable that they're like-minded people. They care about the community, and they also love numbers as much as I do. So they give us great reports that we can use to make sure we're tracking our progress and that we're doing the very best that we can. So I just wanted to express my appreciation to them announce it to my staff and just say, hey, let's get a quick picture and just thanks for honoring us for this, Marilee.
It's okay. Just sit there and smile. Don't try to dodge it.
Well, I remember when I got on the city council 4 years ago, that was one of my big surprises was the depth of visits that people come and the percentage of people from Springville that actually go into the library. If you'd have talked to most people 10, 15 years ago, libraries, because everything was going to go audio. And I was not far from that camp. And so it's been amazing to me to see the programs and the dedication of the staff. And they are a model for the rest of the state and what they do and accomplish in that library. And I just applaud them and as well as the staff. I go there. They know I go there. I broke out in a cold sweat. I saw that pod and I thought it was a timeout pod. You know, if I got noisy that I'd have to go sit in that pod. But they do such a wonderful job and make you feel very comfortable. And I just appreciate all that they do for the city and for the citizens. So thank you very much. How many programs do you do in a year, Dan? Can you imagine? Can you imagine 1,200 programs coming through the library? So thank you very much. Well, let's, Chief Haight, we'll turn the time over to you. We're so pleased to be able to have your police force with us that's here this evening. So thank you so much for bringing them.
Before I begin, I'll just clarify the timeout pods in the back of the police department. And you do know where that is. So.
Yes, I do. I've been there 3 times. Thank you.
We're Mayor and Council. I'm so happy for the opportunity to stand before you today and to swear in one of our newest officers, Officer Matt Foley. He comes to us with some great experience. He's got nearly 4 years experience in police work, so he's a great hire for us, and he's doing an outstanding job. Just a little bit about Matt. He played football at BYU for 4 years, so he's an athlete as well. So we're so super glad to have him out on the police department, and we're glad that we can swear him in here tonight. And so I asked him to come forward, and we'll swear him in.
Wonderful.
If you could stand there and face the crowd. Sure. Raise your right arm. Repeat after me. I solemnly swear.
I solemnly swear.
I will support, obey, and defend.
I will support, obey, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the State of Utah.
The Constitution of the State of Utah.
And the laws and ordinances.
And the laws and ordinances.
Of the City of Springville.
The City of Springville.
I swear I will.
I swear I will.
Faithfully and impartially.
Faithfully and impartially.
Enforce the laws.
Enforce the laws.
Of the United States.
The United States.
The State of Utah.
The State of Utah.
And the City of Springville.
The City of Springville.
I swear I will.
I swear I will.
Abide by.
Abide by.
The Law Enforcement Code of Ethics.
The Law Enforcement Code of Ethics.
And the policies and procedures.
And the policies and procedures.
Of the Springville Police Department.
The Springville Police Department.
I take this oath freely.
I take this oath freely.
And promise.
And promise.
That I will discharge.
That I will discharge.
The duties of my profession.
The duties of my profession.
With honor and fidelity.
With honor and fidelity.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All right, congratulations.
Well, we welcome you to Springville, and I hope the police department knows the depth of appreciation and respect I have for you and this whole group up here, and we just wholeheartedly support you, and we're doing things that we feel like we need to do to support you even more. So I just hope that you feel that and always remember that. It doesn't take too many visits out on a scene to realize the immense responsibility that you have. You do something I wouldn't do. And I appreciate all the training and all the effort that you do. So thank you very much for your great effort. We greatly support you. So there's lots of movement in the country to badmouth police and speak down to them and that sort of thing, and we just don't tolerate that here in the city. And you have people here on the city council that support you in what you do, and we just have great respect for you, so thank you for all you do. All right, thank you. Okay, we have Brad Stapley, a recognition for Geneva. And Matt, just as you're walking out, watch this guy right here.
Well, maybe you can help me out a little bit here. I know it's been at least 10 years since we moved into this building.
2008.
Is it about 10, 12?
No, it's-
Two- 2010, so we're getting close to 14 years. And one of the things that we as staff noticed is that as our civic center complex got bigger and a splash pad was added and we started farmers markets and holiday activities here and on and on and on, that the number of people that come down to Springville, the civic center, was increasing greatly. And we noticed that there were some improvements that could be made. And one of those was going through and widening the sidewalk along Main Street, because we found that there were so many people, and with the booths and the activities and things, that it was really hard to go back and forth in that area. But the hard part is the timing, because of all the activities that we had. How do you fit the construction of that into a certain time frame to get it done and then get out of there so they can keep doing the activities? And we kind of pondered of it as staff, and finally we got on the phone and we actually called Geneva Rock, and I spoke with Jeremy Hafen on the phone, and I told him, I said, look, we have this window between when the council member is going to be giving out candy on the 31st of October, and then we've got the Thanksgiving holiday coming up right after, and there's just a couple weeks in between that we can go through and do some work, and we have to deal with weather. And I asked him, I said, we've got the materials, but we need the manpower to go out there and put an expanded sidewalk in there. So we added 5 feet of width all the way along the frontage, about 600 feet of sidewalk. And Jeremy said to me, he said, I think we can do that. And the very next morning I got a phone call. And the process began. But what we started, I don't think we realized as much as how much we started and what had to be done. So this presentation is about Geneva Rock's portion of it too, but it's also what it took the city employees to take care of getting this process going. And of course, you're lining out 5 more feet of width, but you've got sprinklers and grass that needs to be taken out right to get ready for that. And so right after the Halloween activities, we started. And so Rec and Park got involved, and Buildings and Grounds, and started pulling out sod. And then the power company, or the power department, jumped in. We had to move the 2 furthermost light standards out there, bring them back in 5 feet so that the new sidewalk could go along. They took care of that and got it going. And then removing the pavers where that sidewalk was going to go on all the paver areas. Again, Buildings and Grounds and Rec and Park and other people doing that. And then we found that, as they started excavating, we figured that, okay, they're excavating it, Geneva Rock is doing their good, but we've got to come behind them, because we've got to dowel the new sidewalk into the old sidewalk so that they don't ever separate and have some difference. So then we had Water Division personnel and other public works personnel out there drilling holes and putting in hundreds of dowels. And then after that, they started placing the concrete, and Geneva Rock was doing that, donating the labor and the people out there and the forms and so forth to get that done. And then they're going along, and at some point we got involved again and decided we were going to tie in some of the monuments along the way so that people could actually walk up to them, like the Liberty Bell, the curfew bell. And so that added some more work that needed to be done and taken care of. And then replacing the pavers, getting them back in against the new sidewalk, and getting that all taken care of. And then Geneva Rock had this cool idea. It was fall, and we had leaves falling. And so we have the big leaf on the right is a chestnut leaf. Chestnut, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, horse chestnut.
Yeah. And then there's another one smaller here. The ones that look like, maybe if I can get this to work. This little fan leaf is a ginkgo tree. which is a very rare tree for the age that we have. And then, of course, a maple leaf here. And we even had them put their stamp in because they donated all the labor to do this. And so it was a great activity that took off, and a lot of people involved, and we ended up with a great sidewalk. And in reality, what was really cool is when they had the holiday festival down there and all the lights and everything, and people were walking, and I'd gone down with my wife and my son and his wife and their little 2-year-old, and we're just walking along the sidewalk, not saying a thing, and people were walking by saying, "Isn't this so cool that there's enough room for everybody to walk on?" Because it was really crowded down there. And we thought, this is a great deal, and a way that our community, and doing the activities that we do, whether it be the library, the art museum, or even down here on the Civic Center complex, that we have the ability to have people join together and make things happen. And Geneva Rock was a huge part of this, to be able to provide this in that short time frame to get everything done. And so what we'd like to do is recognize them tonight. And we have a plaque, and I was going to ask Mayor, would you like to come down and present this to them? Here representing Geneva Rock is Terrence Savage. He's the vice president over concrete. He's here with his wife. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, it's a privilege to be here. You know, Geneva Rock's part of Clyde Companies Incorporated, and the Clyde family, which owns that, has a rich legacy of contributing to this city. And it's an honor, Brad. I appreciate you reaching out and to be involved and further that legacy. It's a privilege. You know, it's really a great example when cities and business come together, great things can happen. Terrence, can you just read what's on the plaque? I think this is very fitting for your company. Yes, it does. It says, "Thank you, Geneva Rock. We want to express our sincere appreciation for your generosity and outstanding work on the Main Street Civic Center Sidewalk Expansion Project. Your commitment to improving the lives of Springville citizens is evident in your quality of work and attention to detail. Springville. You have a beautiful city. Thank you.
Thank you.
This guy's got a potential career.
It does. Well, we love the Clyde Companies. We love the association and the relationship we've had for many, many years. And, you know, as a boy, I used to go by that yard, and I always wanted to drive a D9 Cat because they had just a bunch of them. And it's just, it's always been, it's great legacy here in town. So thank you very much. And Mindy, we love you. Okay, sounds good. We'll work to the point of the consent agenda. I would entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the consent agenda with an amendment for the January 9th minutes. There are some incorrect names at the bottom that need to be adjusted. Had some old council members' names listed there.
Okay?
I'll
Then-
second.
Okay, those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, very good. Jeff, you want to come up and we'll go through the resolution in relationship to 800 South and 800 East, a roundabout.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. For the two senior councilmen, this will kind of be a rinse, lather, repeat. We've had the opportunity and privilege of being able to get a considerable amount of funding through the MAG TIP process. We propose regionally significant projects to MAG, Mountain Land Association of Government, submit ideas, concept reports, and then the technical committee votes and ranks those. 1200 West has been a great one that we've had come through the city, help us to connect north-south. 8 South, 8th East is another project, intersection enhancements there, looking to reconnect some roads that were cut off and create a better grid system. But before anything can happen, we have to enter into an interlocal agreement with the county, who's the funding agency on this. So before we expend any dollars, we have to get this. We have a design consultant on board to start design of this. We just need to get the agreement in place. So just to give you a little bit of a background, regional transportation plan, it's called Transplan 2050, looks at the Utah County as a whole, looks at how are we going to adjust to growing. We are going to see significant growth throughout the county. So they look at transit, active transportation, and transportation planning. And goal number one in the regional transportation plan is create an enhanced roadway grid network. Having a grid, properly spaced roads, traffic can be dispersed through multiple corridors, avoids placing all the traffic onto a single road, everybody going to 4 South to get out of town. Now we can start to disperse. People see that Center Street's a viable option. 8 South becomes a viable option. And this just kind of gives the hierarchy of roadways, freeways, principal arterials, minor arterials, and collectors. Collectors are the ones that we're primarily going to look at tonight. So dispersing traffic is the reason for the network of arterial and collector roadways. And just a graphic, this is kind of a grim graphic. Comparison to today, Utah County, if we say delay or traffic congestion is at 1, this is the baseline. Salt Lake has about 5 times the congestion. By 2050, they expect, without doing anything, without enhancing our roadway network or our grid, we'll see 11 times the congestion. It will take that much longer to get anywhere around Utah County. With a highway and freeway and a grid system, we can reduce that to 3 times. So the goal of the Transplant 50 is to enhance all levels of transportation. And we at the city have bought into this and are looking for opportunities to create that grid network in our city. Kind of an overview. This is the existing area of South Springville. We've got 1600 north, 1600 south, 4th west or 4th east right here, 1200 east leading to the high school, and 8th east just terminates right now at 8th south. You can see we've kind of got a big gap of a collector roadway that would lead down to ultimately give us other options to get to 1600 south. So phase 1 we submitted to MAG was to realign and line up the 8th south, 4 south, or 8th east, 4 south intersection. We doglegged that over, put in the signal there, and that was all MAG funded. That was taken care of through that. Phase 2 is to now connect that south leg of 8th east. Right now it's cut off. When 8th south, 9th south was put through, because of awkward angles, they cut that leg off. We're looking to reconnect that and make 8th south or 8th east, and then eventually swing it over 7th east as a viable road, collector roadway that could come down and then eventually tie into 1600 south, which would give people an opportunity to get to the new interchange when it does get punched all the way through to 89. So it kind of completes the grid system in this south part of town. So 8 South, it's a crucial east-west link, an alternate for 4 South, can get people off of 4 South to get over to Main Street. There are 4-way stops right now that kind of get congested during peak hour and during lunch and school start and release. 8th East is lacking a north-south collector between 4th East and 12th East. We need to reconnect the south leg of 8th East that was cut off with a previous project, and it would be ultimately give us an alternate route to get down to 16th South interchange. Currently, this is the intersection as it's configured today. 8th East comes here and then kind of swings into 9th South, 8th South jogs to the north, and it is a 4-way intersection. And then this leg right down here to the south is the 8th East that has been cut off and kind of orphaned, if you will. The city took an opportunity to purchase this lot at the northeast quadrant there in anticipation of a project here. Our master plans had called for enhancements to this intersection, so we took that opportunity. So anything outlined in blue is current city right-of-way. This is just a concept of what we could do here. This is the concept that was presented to MAG. This is the one that we received funding towards. But again, this is a concept. We have a design consultant on board, and we are looking at all options and taking opportunities. We've had residents in the area express some concern and want to have some input on this. So we have worked with some in the area. This resident right here on this northeast quadrant has been very vocal, has preemptively come in and met with the city on multiple occasions. So we are going to have some involvement with the public as we progress in this design. Right now, the construction is slated for summer of 2025. We don't want to take down. A lot of intersections around the high school are being touched and changed with the construction of the new high school. We don't want to completely isolate and cut off all access through there. So we're strategically looking at intersections this summer, next summer, in advance of school opening in 2026, fall of 2026. This one is slated about a year plus out, but we will look at doing the design here this year and be bringing that forward with, we have a design consultant selected. So the MAG funding for this became available June 2023. We were awarded MAG funding 2 years ago, but it takes a while to get funding they always advance that several years. Became available June 2023. The interlocal agreement must be executed prior to any money being expended. And then Utah County is reviewing and taking the ILA to County Commission as well. And like I said, we do have a design consultant selected and is waiting to begin design on this. Any questions?
Will you go back to the previous slide that has the roundabout overlay on there?
Yep.
So you mentioned that Mr. Nord in that corner property there has been most vocal. I just want to clarify, usually when we hear that, it's negative. But he's very positive about the roundabout. He just wants to, because he's right there, and by the looks of this proposed design, his driveway's cut off. But he's very positive about the roundabout and just wants to be involved in seeing that it's designed so that not only he, but Boone's and Roylance's have access to their properties.
Absolutely. There will be challenges in this design, and retrofit never comes easy. There's always challenges. But you're right, Mr. Nord has been very vocal but very positive. He realizes he's seen the issues, the backups, as he's lived right there on that corner. He says it's going to happen. I think it's for the benefit of the city. He would just like to have a voice and a say in some things and make sure that some of their concerns are heard. He hasn't been adversarial in the least bit. He's been a good, he's worked with us very, very well to this point. So I appreciate that.
Has there been anybody that's upset by this?
There has been some that have voiced some concerns with this, and like we said, we're going to listen to those. We have to allow for access. Those are all challenges we're going to look into. And again, we're not locked in stone on this by any means. We're looking at alternate ways, different configurations of roundabouts, and something that will accomplish the goals of connection and getting all legs through their safety and operations.
Are most of the concerns just with their personal property, how difficult it's going to be to access? Are there other concerns on top of that?
Some just, they feel a stop sign is better. It'll stop traffic. They haven't seen the congestion that it backs up. A free flow movement like this will actually reduce, roundabouts actually help reduce the severity of accidents. It allows for crossings, safer crossings for pedestrians. So there are advantages to the configuration, but most of the concerns have been, personal property and just change.
Didn't we have some concerns over kind of some child play in the area with the reopening of that south leg as well?
Yes, they've kind of become accustomed that's become like a cul-de-sac essentially, and so there were concerns with reopening that leg, and the reason for it was kind of what we shared.
I know Mindy lives on 9th, and she's got something to say. I want to hear what she has to say, because there is something I like.
Well, I just have questions. So it looks like this bound city-owned road that comes here to the south off of 9th South. It looks like we're cutting into somebody's driveway. Is that our property, or is that something that they went out onto from their house, right? Yeah, right where those cars are, right there.
Yes, that is public right-of-way to the blue line. So yes, there is some that have extended out to where the road is, but we never gave back that right-of-way. We've kept ownership of it, so.
It's not ownership, but a right-of-way.
Right-of-way, yes, sorry.
Well, I'm excited because I live, like Craig said, and it would be nice to not have to drive clear far north or clear far east or clear far west to get out of my neighborhood. So.
The other thing, and I think it was the most powerful slide you showed, Jeff, was the back a few where it shows that connect. I mean, I've sat up here for 6 years, and I never really saw that red line going all the way through. Or, excuse me, yellow. It starts red and then goes yellow. That's amazing because, you know, you mentioned what we did at 4 South and 4th East. That was a game changer, right? Several years ago. This, really the light switched on for me when I saw 7th East connecting like that to 1600 North. That really works, doesn't it?
It does, and Mapleton has looked at this and said, our 7th East coming all the way down.
I use that 12th East all the time, and it's kind of a secret, that 12th East one, because you can go up Center Street and they're going to kick over. But now that we have that 7th East one too, I would pitch that when people are naysaying, because that really does connect the city a lot better. That's the first time I've seen that. Have you seen that before, Troy?
Yeah, we've talked about it a lot.
Is it that dotted line? How does that make it through on that dotted line?
Yeah, that's phase 3.
Exactly. There's some property acquisition there, but people on 7th East may feel differently.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, they will.
Be a quiet road.
so there is some. So the dotted line is not purchased yet. Then,
Correct.
No, that's
What's-
a future. We're looking at all.
But it's kind of
alignments.
like, I mean, when you think about it, when we did that through Brookside, there were a lot of naysayers because that changed Brookside significantly. But it sure has helped. At least, I mean, I think most people would, now that they've passed if you live on whatever that drive is. Is that Brookside Drive? Is that what
Brookside
it's called? Yeah, you know that, Mike. But that would be rough there. But man, that's cool to see that line.
So, Mike, as I remember the conversation we had when the neighbors came in, I think maybe I'm thinking of something else, but I don't think so. We said we're not sure this is for sure going to happen. So my only question is, are we sure this is going to happen? You're just not quite sure the configuration. And do we need to have them and have an opportunity to at least have that discussion before we talk about it? Or maybe I'm thinking of another roundabout, maybe the high school roundabout.
This was the
that's
one
it.
because Chloe came.
Yeah,
remember?
That's the one with that Chloe came to, or not Chloe.
Yes.
Well,
I was just say that two things. I mean, you're
her name,
signing an agreement to actually get the money, but you still have to budget it. So the council still has involvement in that. And the second part Brad mentioned in the last meeting, which is the previous council asked us to have a notification kind of policy in place, which has gone through several iterations at staff level, which will also come back for council review, which would help determine kind of what level of contact we'll be giving. And under the current draft of the policy, we'd be reaching out to this neighborhood to say, hey, this is now starting into kind of design. Now's the time to engage part of it.
And when you say reach out, are they knocking doors and talking to people?
Well, that's what it depends on what the policy says, but the draft policy actually would do some things like that.
Public meetings, something
Yeah.
at this level is what we call a higher intensity project. So we would be reaching out to the neighborhood. We've already spoken with some of the residents there.
But so is reaching out putting a sign up so that people can see it, or is it knocking on their door and saying, hey,
Draft policy has public meetings, has, social media
Signs.
posts,
Yeah.
signs, a whole
Great.
Reverse 911,
Great.
a whole bunch of contact.
cool, thank you.
But again, like the reverse 911 contact, citizens would have to sign up. So there's still gaps in that. We've had situations where people have stood at this podium or the previous one, and they're kind of like, "Well, I don't read your newsletter, and I don't do this, and I don't do that, and I'm not going to listen to this, and I'm not going to sign up for that." And you're kind of like, "Well, how are we supposed to talk to you then?"
Smoke
So
signal.
you can't necessarily guarantee you're going to get everybody, but you can certainly try.
Just as a side note to that, Mayor, I talked to Jeff a little bit earlier because I was in a conversation with Mr. Nord a little bit earlier, and Jeff's been very kind to talked to Mr. Nord, and Mr. Nord has volunteered to be kind of a spokesman for the community. He's very active in that neighborhood there, and so he's gonna continue to get input. And Jeff has offered to talk to him, and so
Very good.
it'll all be there. The communication will be there.
May I just say something about the roundabout on 13th East?
Sure.
I live 1 block north of that roundabout. And when it was a 4-way stop, it was a total nightmare, especially people coming down the canyon would run that stop sign invariably. Now with that roundabout, it is a lot more controlled. Now, there is a lot of traffic at start of school time and the release of school time, but that roundabout has been amazing.
Yep, thank you. I have one other question, and I'm sure this is in the design. It's just not on the drawing. So we've just enacted this active transportation part for the city, and I think this is an integral part of making sure that we address this as we go through it, to make sure that we can, because there's active bike lanes, and because it's a high school, that's used probably a little bit more than other places. But I just encourage us to make sure that we have that at the forefront of our mind as we're thinking about this, and how we deal with roundabouts and bike lanes and pedestrian crossings, because there's just a lot of all those things there.
I was going to say the same thing, because that line that Craig is so excited about, that north-south route, already exists if you're on a bicycle. It's easy to cut through.
That's right, 'cause there's that little
Yeah, so, and it's a great way to get north and south, and it's one of the only really good ways to go north and south through that area of town. So I don't want to make it less comfortable for people walking or bicycling. So let's pay careful attention as we move forward.
Absolutely.
Yep, just watch that real carefully, because I think that's just part of the whole overall plan about what we're trying to do. And I'm old enough, so is Mike, that I remember when this road did exist going through.
Yeah.
And it was a real shockaroo when that changed, because that realigned our whole travel to Reams.
Well, it's because 8 South didn't exist, or whatever. Is it? Yeah, 8 South didn't exist.
Yeah. So anyway, okay.
Are there plans for a sidewalk around this so people can easily?
Isn't that what these?
Is that what that is?
Those dark.
Yeah, so there will accommodate pedestrian. We'll look at the active transportation for cycling. Again, this is a pretty picture, a concept showing that yes, we could connect all 5 and stay within the limits of the right of way we have. Now we're looking at, do we compact this down? Do we elongate it? We're looking at other options and really going to refine this design.
My only question is, we're approving an agreement now. Based on what we told the last group, are we in concert with what we told them, or do we need to step back and get their opinion? I'm just asking the council what they would like to do, so I just don't want to step too far ahead of kind of what we said before, so.
Yeah, this agreement is, like Troy says, agreeing that we will, if we take the money to do this, that we have, there's the obligations that we follow, and
okay.
and there is a match percentage required, and so they go through all of that. It's just basically the funding, opportunity for funding mechanism, and we went through the process of the grant, got roughly $800,000 for this, so that's what that agreement.
Well, I wasn't listening to Troy when I should have been, so sorry.
This is maybe a little outside the scope of this agreement we're talking about tonight, but it'd be great to have a really cool art piece in the middle of the roundabout. So whatever the final design of the roundabout is, if we can get an art piece cheaper by doing it at the same time that we build the roundabout, it'd be cool to save some dollars that way.
Sure.
Emily's taking notes on that, Jeff, so.
Yeah, do we get a 9th and 9th whale, right?
Mayor, just for clarity in the agreement itself, starting on page 5, it starts with project development, goes to design work, final design approval, but importantly, the program manager, which is the city, has authority to place the project on hold at any time during the project development process. This is really just saying, hey, here's an opportunity for some funding, and then you move from there.
Perfect.
Jeff, have you done any studies on how much traffic will be here once the high school roads have been realigned and the roundabouts up there? Because they'll bleed off some of the traffic that's on 9th South, right? I'm assuming.
Traffic they've tried to model the new, so we've got a traffic study. They've tried to model it with the new realignment of the roads. And I think kids are going to find the easiest route possible to get to school. But we have seen an uptick on traffic on the 9th South, 8th South corridor. And I think, if you will, making it easier with a free flow there, reducing the congestion, I think it's going to incentivize people to utilize this road.
Okay.
For better or for worse, I think it will hopefully pull some traffic off of 4 South and utilize this.
Okay.
Other comments or questions? Okay, I'll open it up for a motion.
I motion to approve resolution number 2024-01, authorizing an interlocal cooperation agreement between Utah County and Springville City, outlining the respective rights and responsibilities for funding the design and construction of the 8th South, 8th East intersection project.
Okay, I have a motion.
I'll second.
It's a roll call vote. Jake?
Yes.
Mindy?
Yes.
Logan?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Thanks for clarifying that, Troy. Okay, are there other items that need to be discussed at all? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I motion that we end this meeting.
Have a motion, second.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Out before 8.
That's
I know,
3
it's
seconds
good.
for me.
I think it was cool that Mindy is the one that set the motion, because of all of us, it affects you.